The occult, Satan, and witchcraft have often been used as themes to market the image and reputation of a band. More often than not, these elements were purely theatrical, with the majority of members not advocating for the principles and ideology they were being associated with. But in the late 60s, one band would predate the occult image of their heavy metal contemporaries. A band that truly embraced the occult as a foundational element of their art. This is the story of Coven, the world's first satanic band. Born on Friday, January 13th, 1950, Esther Jinx Dawson enjoyed a life of wealth and prosperity. Nurtured in the operatic and classical arts, Jinx would shape into a composed and musically gifted individual, earning 2 scholarships, one at Heron Art School and another at Butler Opera Center by the age of just 13. Although in a refined upbringing, one aspect of Jinx's childhood would significantly differ from others in her age group, specifically teachings of the occult. These lessons included multiple practices, such as the Afro-Caribbean obeah, the African hoodoo, and most notably the advocation for the left-hand path. People often confuse the left-hand path to be a direct form of Satanism, the reality being that the left-hand path derives its ideals from Hindu tantric practices, leveraging the concept of breaking taboos or rules. Within this path, there are no boundaries or elements of morality that exist beyond the empowerment of oneself. Thus, in one's pursuance of power and personal freedom, an individual will seek to break any barriers that may stand against them. These foundational aspects would later be adopted in Crowley's Dilemma and modern Satanism. Being raised under this knowledge, Jinx would have a desire to share occult ideology, personal experiences, and themes within her music. By the age of 18, she would uphold the vocal reins, joining bassist Greg Oz Osborne, guitarist Chris Nielsen, keyboardist Rick Durrett, and drummer Steve Ross to form Coven in 1967. The band would begin to drum a buzz within the underground rock landscape of the late 60s, opening for acts like Jimmy Page's The Yardbirds, the Alice Cooper Band, and Vanilla Fudge. Coven's live performances could be described as morbid, goth rock operas, riddled with intense theatrics, such as Dawson emerging from a coffin, Jesus being whipped and crucified, revived, then having his cross and body inverted. All the while, Jinx could be seen holding a skull in front of her face, with satanic imagery cast in the background. Soon enough, their onstage dramatics were enough to land them with famed Mercury Records. Allegedly, they were said to have signed the contract with their own blood, as a sign of commitment to their craft, authenticity within their beliefs, and a testament to their music being beyond theatrics. By 1969, Coven would prove this, via the release of their first full-length studio album, Witchcraft Destroys Minds and Reaps Souls. Witchcraft is a delightful psychedelic rock and proto-metal venture, a co-effort with Jim Donlinger, who was not an official member of the band, writing and producing half the album, given the task by Coven's producer to study books on witchcraft and the occult. But where the album truly stands out is lyrically, as we've now been served the first rock album with a heavy occult and satanic influence. Jinx has a very unique, distinctive, and captivating voice, encapsulating a hybrid of Grace Slick and Janis Joplin. Using this prowess, she depicts increasingly grim lyrics involving satanic rituals, demonic entities, occult meetings, child sacrifice, voodoo, witchcraft, orgies, Faustian bargains, death, and murder throughout the entirety of the album. This all grimly encapsulates into the record's closer, a 13-minute depiction of an actual satanic mass, where Coven chants invocations in Latin as devotees to Satan, recites worship to multiple demonic entities, says the Lord's Prayer backwards, has a priestess invoke Satan and openly denounce Jesus Christ as well as Christianity, swearing allegiance to Satan and an oath of disease, violence, and consumption by fire to be bestowed upon her if the oath is betrayed. She strips naked, lays as a human altar, kisses a goat statue of Satan, and submits to the sexual desires of the Coven. She is then joined in reciting praise to multiple demonic figures as masters, and joins the Coven by repeatedly yelling, "Hail Satan," as the track closes. Now for 1969, this is a stark and eye-opening contrast of ideals to the flower power hippie movement that embrace peace, love, and non-violence at its core principles. This album also introduced multiple elements that were first for its time. The band sporting upside-down crosses on the front cover, the gatefold revealing Jinx fully nude, sprawled on a table with the band and black cloaked figures surrounding her in a sort of dark ritual, as well as the back cover, with band members shaping their hands into devil horns. This picture specifically has been a point of contention in rock history. During an interview with Loudwire in 2021, Jinx recalled seeing people come to the doors of her great-aunt's mansion as a child, make this hand gesture as a sign of acknowledgement, stating they were one with the Coven. They would then walk into her family's cellar, which was used as a ritual room. The gesture has now been solidified as a form of showing allegiance to rock and roll for decades, dubbed throwing up the horns or metal horns. Often overlooked in its origination at Coven, the invention of the horns is usually associated with Ronnie James Dio, who attests he had been referencing the hand sign of the Maloik, observed from his Italian grandmother, and used to ward off or give the evil eye. Dawson to the Chicago Reader stated she and Coven knew Dio through their drummer Steve Ross, who tried out for Dio's early band, Rainbow, as well as frequenting the Rainbow Bar on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. Additionally, this type of occult imagery would be used on a very prolific release 1 year later for a band known as Black Sabbath. Lester Bangs of Rolling Stone magazine even stated that Sabbath's 1970 self-titled debut was England's answer to Coven. In 1986, Sabbath's guitarist Tony Iommi would be questioned about potential influence from Coven, the occult imagery, and even their first track on witchcraft being titled Black Sabbath. Iommi claimed he had never heard of the band. Dawson challenged this, stating that Sabbath's label Vertigo was a part of Mercury Records and that the band were definitely aware of their existence. With all praise and respect going to Sabbath for birthing heavy metal and shaping the future of it, the directions of each band definitely differed on their debut efforts. Coven steered in the direction of glorifying Satan, Sabbath seeking to heed warnings of Satan's existence. With the release of Witchcraft, Coven would start to mount a growing success, piquing interest in their stage antics, and the shroud of mysticism behind the band's ideals. Unfortunately, this would also be the means for their downfall, through an untimely set of events. Just 1 month after Witchcraft's release, the nation would be left in a complete state of shock, following the acts of Charles Manson and the Manson family during a murder spree in Los Angeles. There they killed 5 people, including the 8.5-month pregnant actress, Sharon Tate, as well as stabbing grocery store executive Lino LaBianca and his wife Rosemary upwards of 40 times, carving the word war into Lino's abdomen. In 1970, Esquire magazine would release an article titled Evil Lurks in California, which cited references to the counterculture and the occult being linked to Charles Manson, the Tate LaBianca murders, Coven's album, and specifically the satanic black mass material contained on the last track. Allegedly, Charles Manson also bought a copy of Witchcraft at Tower Records, with somebody taking a picture of him. Though I couldn't source or find resources to this photo, beyond claims from Jinx in a 2024 interview with the Chicago Reader. With so much superstition, fear, and a publicized link between the Manson murders, as well as Coven's very blasphemous work, Mercury Records would pull the album from shelves, cancel tour dates, and essentially blackball the band. Apparently, Coven was so fed up with the lack of support from their label that they burned their contracts at the studio office, took the ash, and drew crosses on the foreheads of secretaries, making such a mess that the carpet needed to be replaced. The band would then forgo a hiatus, Dawson staying in the music business via clothing work for Jimmy Page, Cher, and Michael Jackson. This was until 1971, where she would record vocals on a session gig for a cover of One Tin Soldier, a song appearing in the American Western film Billy Jack. The song received a surge of popular reception, reaching number 26 on the Billboard Hot 100. Jinx, devoted to the band, would forgo all personal accolade by crediting Coven as the artist. They would then reunite, re-recording One Tin Soldier as a whole, and releasing their second full-length album, the self-titled Coven. Jinx referenced this effort as means to get by with the band, shedding any form of satanic lyricism or imagery, replacing it with a more pop-aligned, blues rock motif in order to carry the attention from One Tin Soldier. Interestingly enough, the cover almost depicts a sale of themselves to the music industry, foregoing their previous identity for a faceless one. In 1974, their third album, Blood on the Snow, would meld the previous works together. Sonically, they still have the pop rock marketability. Lyrically, they revisit elements of their occult past. After releasing the 2 albums, in 1975 Coven would break up. Unable to achieve their original success of the late 60s, Coven would emerge anew with the self-released 2013 album titled Jinx. This contained new material, donning a heavier, hard rock, sometimes industrial, and even doom metal laden sound. Jinx's vocal mystique would display a diverse stylistic range, adapting to the needs of each and every song. Coven would begin their resurgence, recruiting a new lineup in 2017 to co-headline the Roadburn Festival in Tilburg, Netherlands. Since then, they've toured Europe and the Americas, celebrating the 55th anniversary of Witchcraft in 2024. Jinx commented on the anniversary of the album, stating, "People aren't afraid of the occult anymore. My great aunts did not want me to do the album, or even let any of this information loose at all. They were very, very angry about it. In fact, they wrote me out of the will because of it. Think about witch burning. People have always gone against people that thought a different way. Now, things have changed." Over 50 years after their debut release, Coven's fan base is growing, as more look into the history of occult rock. Younger generations are now paying respects to the originators of the genre. They are slated to release new material this year, with Jinx actively providing an update on tour dates and studio time via social media. Coven is a testament to creativity not being thwarted by age. Although they may have been overshadowed by unfortunate timing, they will never be overlooked as the first band who pioneered propelling occultism within music. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and drop me a comment about your thoughts, especially on Coven, occult rock, or anything similar. This channel is devoted to the darker side of art and music, with a new video dropping every Wednesday. So, I hope to see you in the next one. I can't imagine how scared shitless people were at that Satanic Mass song.